We are trying this again. We talk about the Patriots and ESPN. One of the two are certainly going to sabotage me at some point. Okay. As long as we're going here, if we close down again, then I think we're just going to call it. Or you two can do it. Doesn't matter. But let's talk about the Jets. I think we get the idea for the Patriots. I just thought for the Jets, Zach Wilson, I would go Elijah Moore. And then I would probably go Brees Hall. I just don't have a ton of trust. But, I mean, Corey Davis. Like, I don't think you need to stack them. If you were a Jets fan and you had to do a stack, I would do Brees Hall. I don't think there's a point to own another Jets receiver.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to win a lot of money if you're playing DFS, best ball, or season long if you're stacking Jets players anyways. So that's kind of a toss-up in the air. Does CJ Uzama being on the team sway you at all?
No.
Yeah, I don't think
Not
so
even
either.
a little bit. He's worthless. Trevor, talk about the AFC North. Who do you have for a stack for the Baltimore Ravens?
For me, I think it's pretty obvious. It's got to be Lamar, Andrews, and Rashad Bateman. I find it kind of weird that Bateman still isn't really moving up in drafts. I get we like to praise the rookies, but dude's only pass catcher there outside of Mark Andrews, like pretty much literally. So I think it's those three pretty clearly there.
I guess if we're talking two players here. Is Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews the biggest stack in the NFL right now?
No, I think Mahomes, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Just because I think even still, I would say at least a third of his fantasy points, probably half of Lamar Jackson's fantasy points just come from his legs.
Yeah.
And at that point, obviously, you can't stack that with anybody.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah. Bengals, who do you got?
Bengals, I got Chase, obviously, with Joe Burrow. And then I'm going Higgins. I can see Tyler Boyd. I like him. And I can see Hayden Hurst, but I just think T. Higgins is such a talented wide receiver. Obviously, Jamar Chase can take the top off, too. There's really, I don't even think there's really a bad stack here. I think you could even make a case for Joe Mixon if you really wanted to. But my top two receivers would have to be Higgins and Chase.
Yeah, I'm a Higgins guy. I think that he is one of the better receivers in the NFL, maybe top 15-ish, top 17, somewhere in there. But we saw what he did in the Super Bowl. Like, he's part of this team. He came on at the end of the year last year strong in the playoffs. He feels like he's a touchdown guy to me. I mean, of course, Jamar Chase is going to get the 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. But Higgins almost feels like he leads this team in touchdowns in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear Chase, Higgins, if we're talking about the top two pass catchers. If we're talking about either best ball or season long where we have to factor in ADP, I really like Tyler Boyd as like a sleeper guy this year because obviously if there's an injury ahead of him, his role blossoms. And regardless, I think he has guaranteed targets. So people really, really, really like to reach for T. Higgins. Like, to your point, Luke, he's one of the best receivers in the league, but I think everyone believes he's one of the best receivers in the league, and they believe nobody else thinks that.
Yeah.
And they think they have a secret, and so they reach for him constantly. People reach for Jamar Chase too, but clearly he's going to at least have a role. But I think stacking either Chase with Boyd or Higgins with Boyd, I think is also still a viable choice if you find yourself with one of the pass catchers with Joe Burrow, and then you get into the later rounds or something.
Fair.
Cleveland Browns, this is a fun one.
Whoever's quarterback, and this one's so tough too, because I really like David Bell, and I think I've liked some of the stuff that comes from Peoples-Jones. Amari Cooper can't play on grass, but he's going to have to learn. For me, I'd go Cooper, whoever the quarterback is, and I got to give one last ride or die shout out to David Njoku and just pray he finally does it. I understand why he's not the sexiest option or why he might not work out this year. But for me, it's Njoku's got to step up, especially with the money they gave him.
Yeah, if I get a choice, I'm rostering Browns wide receivers this year. If I did a 3-person stack, I would go with Cooper and Njoku as the pass catchers. But I don't want Cooper at all. I don't want Peoples-Jones at all. I for sure don't want David Bell. Like there's no point of this passing offense in general, but at least David Njoku is going to be given a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on the same lines as you guys. Like, is there anyone? There's not really anyone on the Browns that I would want in terms of pass catcher. I mean, if you can get, Deshaun Watson, like whatever. But I mean, this team doesn't really scream, let's stack for a ton of points in DFS or season long.
No, absolutely not. I can't wait for the Browns to finish last in this division again and restore what we need. Actually, you know what? Yeah, never mind. Yeah, they're worse than the Bengals. I was going to pick the Bengals to lose it, but
not Pittsburgh.
Mind. No. Absolutely not.
Even just the quarterback. I love their defense, but I'm just wondering about the quarterback. I just don't know how much I can rely on the quarterback.
If the odds came out today and let me do a parlay for the entire division, I would bet Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, Browns because I like those odds the best. Bengals probably will finish above the Steelers, but I do think the Steelers get at least 8 wins. I don't think that's even a question. But who do you have for the Steelers then?
Well, I mean, Jay Sternberger is a sexy 5th tight end pick looking at him. Imagine being somebody your 5th tight end. That's interesting. But I'd actually go quarterback, Deontay Johnson. And I'm going to throw kind of a curveball in there. I'm going to go Najin Harris just because Pickens and Claypool, I like what they bring to the table. I like both of what they bring to the table, but I just don't know which one I can trust. I feel like Pickens is going to pass Claypool this year. And I feel like they're going to kind of be jockeying with each other. And obviously, Najee Harris, he had, 20 targets to one game? I know this isn't Ben Roethlisberger offense anymore, but I still have a feeling he's going to get way more targets than he probably should.
Trevor, I'd agree with you. You guys know I'm a big George Pickens guy, but Najee Harris, to me, he's one of the 3 or 4 candidates that leads the league in touches this year. That alone, I think, can be worthy for 2. I almost want to put him as, the number 1 stack, but I understand it's really tough to do quarterback, running back for that. But yeah, I'm not mad with Deontay Johnson and Najee Harris by any means.
Yeah, I would probably do that again if you want a better value. I would definitely go Pickens over Najee if we're going. You can't get that early first round running back, but yeah, pretty simple there, I think. I want nothing to do with Chase Claypool. I don't think he's very good. And I think he's a fucking puss. Luke, who do you got for the Texans?
The Houston Texans. Oh, I had the Titans pulled up. Sorry.
You can do Titans. Go ahead.
Oh, now I got the Texans pulled up.
Well, let's start Jaguars.
Houston Texans is tough, right? I always talk about you don't really do well in fantasy picking from bad teams. But if I had to pick, it's obviously Davis Mills and Brandon Cooks, right? I'm kind of inclined to say Nico Collins for the second. I know we've kind of talked about him, throughout the last couple of years. Like, the guy's a good player. He has a role in this Texans team. He's number 2 receiver. I don't know. It's hard for me to say Marlon Mack ahead of him, so I'll say Nico Collins.
Yeah, I like Nico Collins. Lovie Smith called him the perfect complement to Brandon Cooks, and I think he's good. They got him more involved at the end of the year. This whole stack is cheap, so it doesn't really matter, but I think Brevin Jordan also has a much bigger role this year. So, but they're both second-year players that are going to grow. I'd rather have Nico Collins, and they're both free, or you can pretty much pick them up after the draft anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, too, I don't think he should be in the stack, but Brevin Jordan definitely needs some highlighting. He was cheap going into the season last year, had probably the worst situation, still looked competent. So he's definitely a guy, tight ends to look out for if you can. He'll be free. He'll be there. I don't think anybody's going to draft him.
Nope.
And then for the Titans, I kind of struggled with this one. This is a real tough division, all 4 of them. But Ryan Tannehill, obviously, and I think Robert Woods, number 1. And then, Austin Hooper, number 2.
I'd go Kyle Phillips. We talked about him during the draft. I really like Kyle Phillips, and I can tell you, so do the Titans. I understand when people say don't put any stock into the first depth chart because they're not made by the coaches. Typically, they're usually made by the PR department who know nothing, and that's why rookies are almost never listed at the top. However, there is a rookie receiver listed as a starter, and it's not Treylon Burks. So, there was thought involved with that, and they put Kyle Phillips there, and he's been running with the ones, and, he's an absolute stud. So, if there's a 1,000-yard receiver for the Titans this year that's not named Robert Woods, it's for sure him. Treylon Burks sucks. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
People, are so upset to admit they were wrong with their immediate draft analysis of him. Just understand, watch the film, and understand maybe he's not an NFL wide receiver.
Also, imagine coming into camp as a rookie out of shape. I don't see a single reason that should be happening.
Nope. What if the reason was he has asthma? Does that make it better or no?
TJ Slayton worked through breathing problems.
Yeah.
He sure did.
Dan Campbell did 40
good.
up downs with a broken wrist. Get your ass going.
No kidding. Could you imagine if the Lions drafted him? He'd be cut already. Luke, who do you have for the next one?
I'm on the Jags now, and I think this is a little different than the Titans, where the Titans, I don't want to say the Jags have a ton of talent, but there's more talent to choose from here than the Titans, right? For pass catchers. So obviously Trevor Lawrence, and I think, they paid Christian Kirk. He has to be involved in this offense. And then my number 2, I'm going to go Travis Etienne. Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne destroyed college record books. I know college is different than the NFL, but I don't see why you shy away from doing what you do best.
I wrote down Marvin Jones, but I think Etienne's super fair. I will say, I don't know what Marvin Jones' ADP is, but I feel like he's always underdrafted. So I'm assuming that's what he is right now, too.
He is what people think T. Higgins is in terms of like you brought up before, Zach, with I'm the only one that knows it. Marvin Jones is a guy that's actually undervalued. I'll go with him just because I'm a really big Marvin Jones fan for the past couple of years. He's always been solid wherever he is. I can trust him a little more. But Etienne is definitely not a bad call at all.
So that begs the question, Evan Ingram, too.
Man, if they did not pay him, I think there's a decent chance he doesn't make the team. He has to make the team right now. But he's been bad.
Yep. Very.
Yeah. And what do you got for the Colts?
To round out the division, Matt Ryan, I think Michael Pittman. And I think off of that, I don't see why they don't give Alec Pierce a shot. This Colts offense kind of needs some revitalization, and they brought in a fun receiver in college. Alec Pierce, I guess. I like him more than Paris Campbell and Mo Alley-Cox.
Yeah, if we're going DFS week 1 or something, I would go Paris Campbell instead of Alec Pierce. But if you want to invest in someone long term, I would not invest in Paris Campbell. He's only let us down at this point, so I like Alec Pierce in that case. And obviously, I like his talents. We have already talked about him quite a bit.
Uh-huh. Jason Spriggs is a backup left guard for the Colts.
He sure is. I think he actually just left hurt. I think I saw that, which
tough.
Tough stuff. Let's go with the Broncos. I think this is pretty quick, pretty easy after the Tim Patrick injury, unfortunately. Russell Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton.
Yep.
Right?
Easy.
Chiefs is more difficult. Obviously Mahomes, obviously Travis Kelce. And then if we're talking about who's going to be the number 2 receiver overall, I think I would go Juju Smith-Schuster. He's the least interesting option because we've seen him so much and because he got hurt. I think that's why people are forgetting about him, but he's actually a good receiver, even though he's an annoying little punk. Right?
Yeah, I think Juju, yes, for season long, I would say MVS for DFS if you're doing it week by week.
Depends on the matchup.
Right.
But yeah, that's a fair one for best ball for sure. Raiders, obviously, you're deciding between the last two. You got Carr, Devontae Adams, and then is it Renfro or Waller? I would go Renfro if it's season long or DFS. If it's best ball, I would go Darren Waller because you need some big positions or big games at that tight end position. And, he'll have one or two probably. So I'll take that.
Yeah. I would also say Renfro. I still don't think Darren Waller is that great at football.
No.
But the whole addition of Devontae Adams means single coverage or loose coverage on Darren Waller, which is very interesting this year.
And now that they have Devontae, Darren Waller isn't the only guy they'll be targeting in the end zone. Like, they obviously had other guys score, but a lot of it was he's the only big target on the team.
Right. Yep. 100%. And then Chargers, Herbert, Keenan Allen. And, again, it depends on the format, but I think this is an offense that you could legitimately have four if you're going best ball and some DFS weeks, having Eckler and Mike Williams, just because outside of those three pass catchers, like, they're going to have so much of this offense. Josh Palmer's next, and I don't mind Josh Palmer. I don't mind Jalen Guyton. I don't mind Gerald Everett and Donald Parham at tight end. I get those guys, but if we're talking about week-to-week production, it wouldn't be surprising if like 60% of the receiving yards are from probably 65, 70% of the receiving yards are those three guys, right?
100% agree.
Got to ride with Eckler, especially in the week-to-week. Obviously, his injury history is not great for season long, but week-to-week, there's nobody better.
Yeah, he's good. And he's really consistent. Let's go with the Cowboys. Obviously, they start the year with Michael Gallup hurt. Jalen Tolbert is going to be the wide receiver 2 there. I would go Dak Prescott. I would go CeeDee Lamb. And then if we're doing a stack, I'd probably go Dalton Schultz. I don't really want to trust the wide receiver 2 for the Cowboys.
Correct. Dalton Schultz is really – people are still off of Dalton Schultz. Like, I guess people are starting to get on him, but he's a guy. He's a tight end for Dallas for their number one passing attack. Like, Dalton Schultz is involved in this offense.
Mm-hmm. Also, I feel like a new part of this show is every week we talk about a take that we hit on before everybody else. We were telling you about Dalton Schultz, 3 years ago, like when he first started doing well. Dude's an absolute stud, and he's a free agent after this year, I believe. So he'll be playing for some money. So I'd go him as the third as well.
The Giants, this is not a team I want to stack at all. However, Daniel Jones, obviously at quarterback. For wide receiver, I think I would for sure want Wan'Dale Robinson, the rookie. I like him a lot. And then I'd probably go Kenny Golladay. I think he has a chance to lead the team in receiving. I think Wan'Dale Robinson has a chance to lead the team in total yards, at least if Saquon Barkley goes down hurt. And then, I don't want Sterling. I'm not a believer in Tony for whatever reason. He just doesn't click with me. And then I'm not investing in Saquon Barkley in terms of over the course of a full season.
I don't think so either. I think this should be Saquon Barkley's back year, where he's coming in camp fully healthy. They kind of revamped this offensive line a little bit, new coaching staff. It feels like it's all set up for Saquon Barkley, but who knows with his injury history? So, I think you could just with this team you can just flip a coin if you really need to make a hard decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't like to pay attention to them or the Jets because mental health is important. But that seems about as accurate as any.
Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert.
Yep.
I don't want any part of Devontae Smith.
Nope.
Trevor, same. And then last in the division, Washington Commanders. We'll go Carson Wentz, Terry McLaurin, and
Cheeseman.
Cameron Cheeseman.
Oh, Cheeseman. He
Logan
throws
Thomas?
prettier passes between his legs than Carson Wentz has been throwing. I wouldn't go Logan Thomas. He's been taking a while to get back from that injury. I'd probably go Jahan Dotson. Again, Curtis Samuel, I think, is really interesting as a sleeper this year. But if we're talking about someone who can run and I can trust will run again tomorrow, I will go with Jahan Dotson, I guess.
Sure. Another flip a coin for me.
Yeah. Trevor, tell us about the Chicago Bears offense, which I put a bet in today would be the lowest scoring offense in the league.
Yeah.
I think it's a good bet.
Worst team in the league.
There are really only three options here. I think it's Fields, Mooney, and Kmet. I don't think anybody here believes anything of EQ. Obviously, N'Keal Harry went down. Newsome, Velus Jones are interesting, but I mean, other than Mooney, Kmet, I don't trust anybody, and that's saying something because I barely trust Cole Kmet. So I think those are the three guys here.
Spot on.
They've been talking up EQ a lot, so I think he's interesting to pay attention to. But yeah, I mean, Kmet's for sure ahead of him.
Moving on to the Lions, this one's actually really tough for me because I never know what to think about TJ Hawkinson. I guess week to week I like him. Season long I don't like him injury wise. So obviously the quarterback, probably Jared Goff. I'll probably give the nod to TJ Hawkinson, and then I'll probably go Amon-Ra St. Brown. I can see DJ Chark. I just think Amon-Ra St. Brown has a little bit more chemistry, and I just trust him a little more in DJ Chark, especially coming back from that really bad ACL or MCL, one of the two.
It was a CL for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's for sure going to be TJ Hawkinson as like the top guy. I'm lower on Amon-Ra St. Brown than others. I think he's still probably the play. However, I think DeAndre Swift is going to get a ton of targets as well. So I don't mind including running back in your stack if you want to do it that way.
It's an interesting team. 2 stacks and neither of them are receivers.
True.
That's Dan Campbell grit football.
I know. I like it a lot, actually. We're playing between the lines here. Packers.
I think it's pretty obvious the top two are Rodgers and Lazard. For 3, I don't know. I like what I'm seeing out of Dobbs, but obviously, like we've talked about the whole time, his separation is a little problematic. So I'd probably go Aaron Jones out of the backfield. I think he's a really good safety valve here.
Agreed. I mean, we'll talk about it in Lombardi Sweep, but there's a role in this offense for Dobbs. It's really hard to be good with Aaron Rodgers as a rookie. If you want to, get a freebie, I don't know that Rob Tonyan is getting drafted right now.
True. I do think Aaron Jones is probably the second leading receiver on the team, though. Yeah. So I think I would include him.
Agreed.
And for the Vikings, probably to me as easy as the Bears, it's Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and Kirk Cousins. It's just not even a question.
The exact opposite of the Bears.
I do like KJ Osborne though. I do like him, but obviously if nobody else ahead of him is injured, it doesn't matter.
I think we all like Irv Smith too.
Yeah.
Just stay on the field, Irv. Come on, man.
Luke, who do you have in the South here?
I think it's pretty easy for the Buccaneers, right? Brady, Evans, and Godwin.
Is it easy? I mean, is Julio in there?
No, washed.
Okay, fine. Then I'll say Godwin and Julio. I don't fuck Mike Evans. We're an anti-Mike Evans show.
I'm with you. I've been screwed on Mike Evans by taking him on my team and him doing nothing, and then getting burned by him going up against him.
Just as a middle finger to Evans, I'm going to put in Kyle Rudolph instead of him.
I bet. What's the over-under on combined games missed with a hamstring injury between Julio and Mike Evans? I put it at 6.5, right?
At least 6.
Yeah.
I think they combined for 17.
Honestly, yeah, it could be.
For the New Orleans Saints, I talked about him a couple weeks ago about Michael Thomas, obviously Jameis Winston. Michael Thomas, I think you have to include just because we know what he is. I mean, it's we know what his ceiling is. I guess nobody really knows where he's at right now, but Michael Thomas isn't a bad player by any means. And then if he plays, I think Alvin Kamara. The whole idea of Jameis Winston checking down is tough for me, but Alvin Kamara is too good of a player to not have the ball in his hands as much as possible.
And it sounds like Alvin Kamara is not going to get suspended this year.
Yeah.
They pushed it off. Like his next court date isn't until September. sometime.
Mm-hmm.
So he could be suspended next year, but I'm guessing he plays the full season.
Yeah, I don't know that the NFL does anything before, the court.
Nope. NFL wouldn't do that. I would agree with that stack, though. If we're valuing Olave Olave versus Jarvis Landry, I think I'd rather have Olave than Jarvis Landry right now.
Mm-hmm. For the Atlanta Falcons, another team I wouldn't love to stack, but I think it's Marcus Mariota and Kyle Pitts, right? And then I'm between Cordell Patterson and Drake London. I want to say Drake London because Atlanta needs some jolt in their offense, and teams probably know that what Arthur Smith wants to do is just give the ball to Cordell Patterson every play. So for the hell of it, I'll say Kyle Pitts, Drake London.
I would probably go Pitts and Cordero. I really like Drake London, though. I'm just about to look up ADP between Drake London and Carlos Patterson. Cordero Patterson. I would probably go with the later pick of the two. I like them both a lot, though.
It's London by a decent amount. In the few that I've checked, at least.
Well, Trevor, what do you think for your stack while I check this?
Value-wise, I'd probably go London. I really think they're going to use Cordell Patterson as he should have his entire career this year. But I think if London's going like 20 picks later, I saw in most drafts, I'm taking London.
Yeah, he's going about 30 later right now. Right now in PPR leagues, 12 team, he's going 9th pick in the 10th round. So, yeah, I don't mind that. I think he's going to struggle creating separation this year, but I like him a decent chunk.
Yeah. And then to close it out with the Panthers, Baker Mayfield, Christian McCaffrey, and then I'll just say DJ Moore because DJ Moore is too good of a player to not be involved.
Yep, that'd be mine too.
What DJ Moore could be with a good team.
Mm-hmm.
I was on my Robbie Anderson forgiveness journey, and then he comes at me with he wants to spell it I-E.
No, can't.
Because it looks cooler? No, it
Disagree.
doesn't.
Big disagree on that one.
What's cool about an E to end your name? That's okay. Sorry, Luke.
Thanks.
But it's not a Y is fun. You can do so much fun stuff with Ys. Jesus.
You don't see. It's because you don't see Y as much in names.
No. My name, it ends with a Y, Zachary. It's always shortens to get the Y out of there.
Right.
And then you're choosing to get rid of your I. I had to grow up without a Y. This is stupid.
Should just start calling him Rob Anderson.
Bobby Anderson, just with a Y too. I'm going
right.
BOBBY. Screw this dude. Okay. Last division, NFC West, Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, it's tough because DeAndre Hopkins suspended for 6 games. I would still, if I'm going best ball or whatever, I would still go DeAndre Hopkins as the top wide receiver out of the bunch, and then I would probably go Marquise Brown with Kyler Murray. AJ Green, we just did the ADP update a couple days ago for this past week. AJ Green was the biggest faller in ADP for whatever reason. If he continues to fall, I like him as a good value over Marquise Brown, but I'd still go Brown for right now.
I'm a big Hollywood Brown guy. Him and Lamar Jackson stacking in DFS the last couple of years have won me a lot of money. And Kyler Murray is the kind of guy who's just seems like, fuck it, I'll just try to do what I can. And that maybe ends up with a lot of long throws to Hollywood.
49ers, a little bit difficult to figure out the third person. Trey Lance, I would go Deebo Samuel. And then obviously him and Trey Lance and Ayuk have shown a connection, blah, 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 blah. I hate that, by the way. They're doing passing drills on air. What a connection. They've shown a connection. They complete passes to each other every day. it's called a drill. I hate this shit.
It's called your job.
Yeah, he's shown a connection with everybody. It's crazy. He keeps hitting them. I would go Kittle over Ayuk right now because of position scarcity.
Yep.
Otherwise, like I think Ayuk's good. I think he's fine. He
Yep,
has the same connection. Whatever.
I think it's the same situation as Vegas in my mind.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Seahawks. I think Geno's going to win the job to start. So I'd go Geno, and then I guess I would go lock in Metcalf. Though I think Noah Fant is getting forgotten about for I don't know what reason. Like he's the player that the Seahawks demanded in the trade. That's the guy they wanted specifically. They could have gotten a different, like just another draft pick instead of him, but no, they wanted him. So, which makes me think they have a plan for him. And I think whatever inexperienced or poor quarterback in there is going to look towards him. And it's another one of those situations like we talked about with the Cowboys a couple years ago, where we have all these vertical threats. We need someone to come underneath. That should be Noah Fant, will Locken and Metcalf fuck off down the field. So, like, I like Noah Fant this year, but obviously I would go with the two receivers.
Yeah, agreed. If they had somewhat of a competent quarterback, I would say Fant and maybe flip a coin on the receiver.
You know who was a better deep threat quarterback than Russell Wilson last season by the numbers? Geno Smith.
Boom.
Almost Drew Lock. Drew Lock was a little bit behind him, but what are you gonna do? Last but not least, I would go with the Rams here. The Rams, Stafford, Kupp, and Allen Robinson. I wouldn't mess with Higbee or the running backs. I'm getting scared about the Rams because of Stafford's elbow. Like I think that's enough to drop Kupp to possibly not wide receiver 1 for me right now. Like I have no trust Stafford's going to finish the season. Like what they're calling it football elbow, which is a combination of golf and tennis elbow. Like that sounds like a nightmare. Like I know Stafford's tough, but Jesus.
Let me tell you, I had a golfer's elbow for a little while, and playing softball, like I just had that. Obviously, playing softball, I could barely even play shortstop. Like you can barely even throw the ball. Like I could not throw it from the outfield. So having both, like that does not go away. Like it was like 2 years resting, not throwing, and the only way to have it go away is to literally not bend your elbow when you throw. If Stafford doesn't bend his elbow when he throws, he is not going to be Matthew Stafford. We're going to have a lot of fucking problems. So I would be very worried.
The Lions knew what they were doing trading him away, by the way.
Yep.
They're like twiddling their fingers in their office when they saw the headline. Like that's why he threw 20 million times every single year for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Allen Robinson, it should be a fun year for him, right? I mean, he's kind of an unknown. He's kind of in that Michael Thomas, category. So, Zach, you're right. The whole if Matthew Stafford's out, Cooper Kupp is probably 75% of what he was last year. It'll be the Rams will be really interesting. I mean, Odell Beckham still looming. You got to think that his first is going to be the Rams, but when does he play? Playoffs. So I don't even think you need to worry about that. Totally agree. Higbee's kind of off the charts, and running backs, nobody ever knows what the fuck's going on there.
No. They still have John Wolford as the backup quarterback there too. Like they really should bring in somebody. I know they can't get Garoppolo, but like trade for Andy Dalton and then let the Saints get Garoppolo or something.
They should have, yeah.
Garoppolo would actually make a lot of sense for the Saints. Like for what they want to do in a dome too, with a very good defense.
Sure. I think Garoppolo is fine. I think most teams could probably use him for something. I like the narrative that a lot of teams need to go get Garoppolo though, and how like he takes them from pretender to contender. I don't know why. I don't know. The stock's never been higher on Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'm not sure why. What did he do other than have surgery?
He dated a porn star for a little while.
Yeah, but then he was in a Subway commercial, which I think cancels each other out.
I hate Subway.
Me too.
Subway, I mean, their bread isn't even bread. Like, legitimately, it does not constitute as bread. They can't call it bread in England.
Right. Their lettuce, drips.
Ugh.
Also, it's way too expensive. They have, no $5 footlongs anymore.
Remember when that was?
I'm going to spend a lot of money. I'm just not going to go to Subway. I'll just go to another sub place.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Nothing about them's good at all. And I don't like how they pass off your sandwich in the middle.
Agreed.
Like they take the other person in, and then they have no fucking idea. They're going in blind. Like I just got to read on this first person.
And then
they know what I want. Like you just continue it through.
Every single time they ask you the same question they just asked you. Like they'll ask you, "Do you want pickles?" And they'll say yes, and then they pass it on. The person's like, "Okay, what do you want?"
Yeah.
It's like I just answered this question. And so what's your guys' stack for sub places then? That's a real question.
Cousins is the best.
I think it's got to go Cousins, Jersey Mike's,
yes,
and probably Jimmy John's just for the bread. Making garlic bread out of their day-old bread is a glitch.
I'm a Quiznos guy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Quiznos is good.
Jimmy John's is horrible.
Oh,
their bread is
that
elite,
one.
though. Their bread is elite.
Horrible.
They don't have hot subs, but their bread is fantastic.
I like Jimmy John's a lot.
The one time I've had Cousins subs, I thought it was just Jimmy John's, so I just like that too.
You take that back. You son
gotta
of
get
a
a double
bitch.
cheese.
Cousins is elite. Cousins is so elite. And not just because I used to work there.
Cousins double cheese is the best sub out there.
I like that from Firehouse subs. Have you been to those?
Oh, yeah.
That's fair. They're decent.
Those are fine. Yeah. Otherwise, I like Urban and Gerbert's. I'm not sure if you have that by you guys.
Oh, yeah.
No, not down south, but...
Does Charlie's count?
I think it's respectable.
Yeah. They're kind of like Firehouse, I feel like. They're pretty
Charlie's.
close.
Never had
them. Should we keep talking about this or read the comment? Up to you guys.
I say read the comment.
What happens if we do this? Let's see where it pops up.
Oh,
look at that. That's fancy.
Oh, that's nice.
Axis Myth. I have a question about a trade I received. He receives Jerick McKinnon, Michael Pittman, Dawson Knox. I received Marlon Mack, Kyle Pitts, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Should I accept the trade?
So my question right away is, it'd be weird if you started trading for a redraft right now. So I'm going to guess maybe this is a dynasty.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. Let us know if it's not dynasty. That's what I'm assuming too, though. I would rather have the Pitts side.
Oh, redraft.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, fuck me. My bad.
That's a really early draft too.
I'd rather do McKinnon, Pittman, and Knox.
It depends on the rest of your receivers for me. If you feel good about your receivers, I'd still want the Pitts side. Otherwise, it depends on what you need. If you need more wide receivers, then I would want Pittman. If you just need a tight end and the rest of your team's good, then I'd want Pitts because I don't value the other players in the trade very high.
Yeah, I'm kind of calling McKinnon and Donovan Peoples-Jones kind of a wash for me, and Marlon Mack is really only early season. Like for me, like we all know, Dameon Pierce is eventually going to take that job. I'd probably take, even though I'm not high on Pittman or Knox, I'd probably take that just because I think Knox is at least better than a undrafted tight end, and Pittman, to your point, is better receiver than Donovan Peoples-Jones. It's not close.
That was pretty fancy. Pretty proud of myself for that. Yeah. Let us know if you have any other questions, and if you're watching this after the fact, you can just write them in the comments below and we'll answer them. Or you can head over to Facebook. We are starting a new Facebook group called Fantasy Football by Committee. I believe it's facebook.com/Fantasy Football Committee. I believe it's going to be the place that we share our video, share our articles, and it can be a great place for you to ask and answer other people's fantasy football questions. If you're looking to break into the fantasy football community and get people to read your stuff, definitely join the group. It can be a good place for you to get your name out there as well.
Facebook, the group aspect of Facebook, you can join all these different groups. That's a great idea for a social media site.
It is. It is.
And if you don't have anything fantasy related yet, but you just want to put in your Substack, let us know too.
What's this? I'll click it. Watch this.
Put it on the board. Yeah.
Should I counter offer and instead of me getting Donovan Peoples-Jones, I put in Mooney? I mean, if you can do that,
then
I would like that even more.
Love it.
Fuck it. Ask for Herbert.
Yeah.
Go to the top. Talk your way back to the middle. But yeah, I would like that for sure.
Yeah. Interesting that somebody has McKinnon on their team. I'm wondering how big these teams are. Because McKinnon in redraft is very odd to me.
Yeah, Peoples-Jones too.
I like McKinnon. I have nothing against McKinnon. It's just odd for a redraft. Although I'm thinking maybe like a 16, 14 team league deep bench.
Yeah, it's probably pretty deep.
Axis, let us know what you do on our show next week. Same time next week.
Also, let us know what sub place you prefer.
Please.
If it's Subway, then you're wrong, I think. But otherwise, we'll hear your opinion, and I'll consider it. Tomorrow night, if you want more fantasy football stuff, tomorrow night, I for sure, probably Luke and I are going to be live before the Thursday Night Football preseason games to talk DraftKings, building some DFS lineups. I was looking at it today, and I have some stuff I really like, and I just need to get some roster spots and inactives confirmed from people and from reports, and then we're going to be humming. I feel really good about tomorrow night. We might as well just take down a whole fucking tournament, Luke. I'm getting juiced about it. I might not even sleep.
I haven't slept.
Probably real. I haven't slept since I just thought about it. And then also, immediately after the show, like 10-ish minutes, 5-ish minutes, we'll see how quickly we do this. We will be talking about the Green Bay Packers with our podcast Lombardi Sweep live right here on the Flurry Sports YouTube channel. So if you want some insights into the Packers team for fantasy, for the preseason game, obviously on Friday, come back and watch and listen and participate in the chat. Trevor, Luke, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
I'm so jacked to make money tomorrow night in DFS. That was Dan Campbell. I was watching Hard Knock right there I'm ready.
I just felt like I did my 40th up down.
Yeah.
Exhausted.
Yeah, I'm on the road to Cleveland this weekend. Can't wait to see the river that was on fire and go through the Hall of Fame and just randomly shout out random names that I've only known since 2010.
I hated this.
I purposely said that for you, Zach. I didn't forget it. I wanted to do that with you there, but it is what it is. And
Johnny Unitas. They all nodded unison and they keep walking. Like, what the fuck was that? What are you guys doing?
They're like the seagulls in Finding Nemo, except a little more predictable. But coming to Lombardi Sweep, if only to figure out, will Janet be there? And if so, how many nose rings? We're setting the line at 2.5.
Stay tuned. We'll be back in a second. See ya.